All right, guys, welcome back to the NBA Draft Series. We have one of the most exciting prospects in all of college basketball we want to do today, and we think he's criminally underrated in the NBA draft. This guy is Sharif Cooper, played high school basketball at McEachern High School, went to Auburn, had a few scandals there, little money bribery here, little taking money there, and only got to play 12 games at Auburn. Only got to play 12, also got injured. So he's one of those prospects, kind of like a Michael Porter Jr., where you didn't get to see a lot of him, but we think he is a surefire all-star. Sharif Cooper, keep your eyes on this guy during the draft, Peyton.
Yeah, and for sure, I'd say there's three areas of this player that most people will point to as his weaknesses, and I'd say the first being his size. He's 6'1", but maybe when they actually measure him, he might be 5'11". I mean, without shoes, he might be 5'11". Without the hair, he might be 5'10". He's one of those players that he's small. You can tell when you watch his highlights, he's not the biggest player, but he makes up for that with quickness. But going at his other weaknesses, his shooting. I think you said he shot 22%.
22% from the three-point line on 5 attempts in college,
which is atrocious. That is terrible. But obviously, and then his third thing is the small sample size of games. He only played 12 games. So people will look at that and say, well, we didn't get to see a full season out of him. So that's why maybe he just had a few great games strung together, and that's why his stats look so good. So I think those are his main weaknesses that you can really point to.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think the bright spot is, though, for him is he was a really good shooter in high school. Obviously, that doesn't always translate to the college level, but it's a great start. So he's a good free throw shooter, which a lot of NBA scouts correspond to three-point percentage. So that's also a really good sign. So there's a lot of improvement for him. You also got to think of the mental aspect, man. He was under the spotlight for the bribery scandal. He's a young kid. He was 18 when that was happening. That's got to affect you mentally. And going into the season, I'm sure it affected a lot of things with him. He still put up great numbers. Obviously, the efficiency is something to be looked at with the 22% from the 3-point line and the 39% from the field. But like Anthony Edwards, he was a little inefficient in college, and he's working his way up in the NBA right now and becoming more efficient every day. So I think Sharif Cooper can do the same thing. I think he's one of the most talented prospects in this draft. Just looking at this guy's film and the games he played, guys, he's incredible. He is I would even go as far as say as a top 3 skilled player in this draft. That is how skillful he is. And
something I want to touch on, man. He's a generational type passer. And that's something that in this league of the NBA right now, it's really kind of overlooked. Not many people look at passing, but he averaged 8 assists this year. Like he and if you watch his highlight tapes, he's making some of the craziest passes you'll ever see. He's making left-handed alley-oop passes going away from the basket. Like he is an elite passer and a player that me and Chris both came up with little player comps. And when we do player comps, we like to strictly just watch the player, watch his highlights, and just say, like, who does that remind you of? And the first player I saw Ja Morant. I saw a shorter Ja Morant that can't shoot as well in his highlights. That's my player comp. I think just the way he moves, his explosiveness, his passing ability, that's who I'm going to compare him to.
Yeah, I love that comparison. I think he's a little underrated in his athleticism too. I mean, you see some of the things he's doing. Auburn, he was a really athletic guy still, but in high school, you see him jumping. Sharif Cooper, go look at some of his mixtapes. He is athletic. He can throw the ball down. So I think that's another thing that's overlooked, and that really plays into Ja Morant's game too. Ja Morant's a great finisher at the cup, and man, Sharif Cooper is magical around the rim, and that takes me into my player comp. Hate me, say whatever you want. This kid looks like Kyrie Irving, and let me explain exactly why I think he's Kyrie Irving. The finishing, the ambidextrous finishing. This kid finishes the same with his right as his left, and it is both incredible what he does around the rim. There's 3 bodies in the paint. He knows how to work through them and somehow get the ball up and lay it softly off the glass and going in, and that's exactly what Kyrie Irving does every single time. Kyrie's one of those players you don't see getting blocked because of how crafty he is on the inside. You don't see Sharif Cooper getting blocked. And Kyrie also coming right into the league wasn't an incredible 3-point shooter like he is now today, very efficient. And I think a little bit can be said about Sharif Cooper in that respect too. Shooting something players work on every single year. And I think Sharif Cooper can become that elite 3-point shooter that Kyrie is. Um, the last two prospects we've done, Ao and Luca, we say we said for them that they're already kind of close to reaching their full potential. This kid is just scratching the surface of what he can do, and he just had a 28-5 season at Auburn, and that's I don't care about efficiency. That's just really good basketball at that point. So I think this kid is a top 10 talent for sure. Let's get into the mocks where they're taking him though is the issue.
Yeah, he's a top 10 talent for sure, but will we see him being taken in the top 10? I'd say that's doubtful. I think unless he puts together some great pro days, all this stuff, puts up great measurements at the combine, or if they're even doing that this year. But yeah, where do the experts have him at?
So I've seen a couple drafts now that have him early second round. I've seen a draft that has him at 10. I've seen a draft that has him at 25. I've seen some at 20. I think if you hit Sharif Cooper from 20 to 30, you might have just got a generational talent late first round. And that does not happen a lot. Let me tell you, that is extremely rare to get that good of a player that late. And maybe a good team is really lucky that that scandal happened and that he only got to play 12 games, because I think this kid's the real deal. I really do. I think he has the ability to be one of the top point guards in the league.
Yeah, man. This is one of the prospects I'm most excited about. Like doing these videos, like just watching his highlights gets me excited, man. Like wow, he's a great basketball player. I see Ja Morant, I see Kyrie, but I also see elite passing. And that's something that excites me as a former point guard. I just love to see that. So yeah, I think me and Chris are going to be making so many more of these videos. We're really going to be breaking down these prospects that don't really get covered as much. So leave a comment who else you'd like us to break down.
And
Subscribe.
lastly, before we end out of the video, where is a team that you'd like to see Sharif Cooper go to?
Me personally?
Yes.
Oh shit, dude. Well, if he's fallen, like if we're saying late first round, 20s, imagine
You
him
might
on
see a playoff team get him.
exactly. Imagine him on like the Celtics.
I was about to say, I really do like, because I think the Celtics are going to get rid of Kemba. I don't think he fits into their future. And I think Sharif Cooper on the Celtics could form that big three of
And that's
Jaylen
funny.
Brown and Tatum.
It's funny because me and Chris did not talk about that before this video. And I
No.
didn't even think about that before Chris asked me the question. So that was just straight off my head. What team? And we both thought the same team. Like I think him on an established team like that is scary. Another team, maybe like the Bulls, I could see him kind of running the point guard for the Bulls. I think that'd be, but him and Kobe White, I guess, would bump
Yeah,
heads.
definitely. I think another team too could be the Pelicans. I think obviously they're not loving Lonzo Ball at point guard. We're both big Lonzo fans, but if you replace Lonzo with Sharif Cooper and he becomes what he can become, that's an awesome trio of him, Ingram, and Zion as
It's an
well.
exciting team to watch.
So yeah, post your comments down below. Tell us what players you want us to do. And yeah, we really enjoyed making this video. We think Sharif Cooper is the next big thing.
Thanks for watching, guys.